Today, a stunning new poll shows the result of more than 6 months of beating the drums for war against ISIS. It's a testament to the effectiveness of ISIS's own monstrous brutality and its slick propaganda machine, the endless loop of ISIS imagery playing on TV screens across the country, and the increasing calls from politicians and commentators for a full-on re-invasion of Iraq and even Syria to vanquish the militant group.
We're going to have to put boots on the ground, my friend, and we're going to have to do a lot more things than we're doing now.
You're going to need boots on the ground, not only in Iraq, but Syria.
Remove the ban on ground troops. Tell the political left we want our military leaders to do whatever it takes.
The president should have the authority, he does have the authority to use all the force he wants.
New Quinnipiac poll shows that 62% of Americans now support sending ground troops to fight ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Majorities of both men and women at 68 and 57% respectively. And that is a massive jump since Quinnipiac last polled on this in November, when just 37 favored sending in ground troops. Think about that, from 37% to 62% in just over 3 months. There's evidence that the kind of images we see on TV and online may have a lot to do with it. 2006 experiment, later published in peer-reviewed journal Politics, showed two groups of people the same TV news item about terrorism. One with neutral visuals and one with terrifying visuals like the burning World Trade Center. Respondents who saw the news item with scary visuals were more likely than those who watched the version with non-emotional imagery to support military solutions to international problems. Now, this is something we grapple with right here on the show every day. In fact, we had a conversation about it earlier today for this segment. We can't avoid these images altogether. We have to show you something, but where is the line between showing you the story and straight up fear-mongering? There seems right now to be a palpable turn towards darkness and fear in the American political psyche, as the poll today reflects, fed not only by imagery, but by a steady diet of maximalist rhetoric about Nazi-level threats, whether from the murderers of ISIS beheading Americans and slaughtering religious minorities, or from the evil regime in Iran calling for death for America and the annihilation of Israel.
Iran and ISIS are competing for the crown of militant Islam. One calls itself the Islamic Republic, the other calls itself the Islamic State. Both want to impose a militant Islamic empire, first on the region and then on the entire world. They just disagree among themselves who will be the ruler of that empire. So when it comes to Iran and ISIS, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy.
And if all this feels uncomfortably similar to the run-up to the last war in Iraq, it's because we're hearing from many of the same voices who sounded the alarm last time.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone.
Joining me now, someone who learned the lessons of the last war in Iraq, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff to Colin Powell. Colonel, does it feel to you the way it does to me that we are entering as a nation, as a sort of polity, into a psychological place uncomfortably similar to what led to that first Iraq war, second Iraq war?
Yes, it does, Chris. And I want to say that if the poll shows 62% of Americans want to use ground forces against ISIS in Syria, Iraq, or wherever, then I suggest we have a draft, and we draft those 62% to lead the way.
I absolutely agree with you that part of that 62% is born of the fact that a smaller and smaller percentage of Americans bear a greater and greater share of the actual fighting.
Absolutely the case, and we're seeing what that's doing to that smaller percentage in the fact that we have such a high suicide rate and post-traumatic stress rate and so forth and so on. We have got to, if we want to succumb to these fears, and I agree with the way you characterized it, it is a state of fear that we've created for ourselves, and I must say the media has exacerbated majorly. If we want to deal with that in the way that that 62% wants to deal with it, then let's have the draft back.
The other thing that is striking to me is I thought we learned back as we watched Iraq develop, and even Afghanistan, right, which was a far more justified enterprise in certain ways than Iraq, to ask the question of what happens when we win, what happens afterwards, what happens the next day. And yet here we are back talking about vanquishing ISIS with, it seems to me, no one asking that question.
I agree with you. And let's just look at Mr. Putin for a moment to change the subject, but not to change the subject. Mr. Putin went to school on the Russian experience in Afghanistan. He went to school on the Russian experience in Chechnya. And he watched very closely the U.S. experience in Iraq and Afghanistan. And look what he's doing. He's taking up guerrilla warfare in Ukraine. That's the kind of warfare that wins. That's the kind of warfare that Putin's now taking up. We do not need to get into this as a conventional force on the ground in a region where we've already been really handed our rear ends. We don't need any more.
Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, we don't need any more. As good a summation of that as any. Thank you so much, sir. I always really appreciate it.